And so, I mean, that's probably why this podcast has been making so many waves, because like everybody wants to talk about it, but they're scared to talk about it. So it's like, I'll talk about it. And then the 18-year-old fat kid comes on here and he's going to talk about it. He's got the biggest balls, 99% of Ontario.
Wheeling them around Ontario right now.
So hey, here we are. It's Mr. Marvelous, and I have to give a round of applause.
Oh my God. Look who's on the fucking podcast. They got the fat kid.
We finally got someone with some stones to come on the podcast, my podcast, the Kayfabe file, the whatever name you want to call it. I keep changing the name. It doesn't really matter. It's me talking about Ontario wrestling and wrestling in general. And you to think, like, how old are you?
I'm 18.
He's 18 years old.
On the wrestling scene at 14.
He's got bigger balls than 99% of the Ontario wrestling community. Because you know how many people I have invited on the podcast, and they've all declined. We're in the double digits at this point. And not only, I didn't ask you to come on the podcast, you volunteered, which is also interesting. But for those of the listeners that don't know you, they should know you. But if they don't know you, this is the fat kid, which is it's a term. It's a term of endearment. We're not, we're not bullying. We're not making fun of you. It's because it's the name that Mike Clark anointed you with, and pretty much anything Mike Clark does is hilarious because he's scatterbrain. But he's the fat kid. Daniel, I don't even know, what's your last name?
I'm Daniel Dart, but
that is your last name. Okay, I knew that was your Facebook, but I don't know if that's your last name. I don't, so this is Daniel Dart, the fat kid, referee and production manager, production guy. You've been doing a bunch of, I see you doing productions everywhere. You're good with a camera and all that stuff. You see, here's what's interesting with you though. You've been reffing for how long?
I've been reffing for around like 3.5 years now.
Okay.
We're up on 4 years this June.
I think when I worked with you, you were about a year in.
Yeah, I was 15 years old at the time.
There you go. So the interesting thing is you were a year into the business and you were already a better ref than Joe Thornington, who had gotten like 6 or 7 years of training under Rob Fuego. You were better than Joe Thornington, Rob Fuego's protege. And so I just had to point this out that like I don't know if you're the best ref. Harry D, I put Harry D number one, but then there's Brad Myers. I haven't worked too much with Brad Myers, but he was also trained by the Outlaws, so I don't know. I'm a little hesitant there, but you're a very good ref. You're very good with production, and you're hustling, and I like that. And so you wanted to come on the podcast, and we've got a number of different topics to get to. But what are you feeling? What are you feeling at the start? Just talk to me here.
So originally, I want to get on the podcast, talk about a show that ran recently out in Hamilton, and there was a few things they were like you and Buck actually talked about, or Cade and Felix on a few episodes talking about bag posting, and a lot of these people on the indie board, all they do is they get on their phone, Ontario Indie Wrestling, and they just bag post, and they talk a bunch of shit, and it's like I'm 18, right? I don't get involved in it. What I'll do the most, I'll go into the comments, I'll laugh at your post, I'll laugh at your comment. And a bunch of people actually unfriended me recently because I was laughing at their comments on the indie board.
Well, since we started the podcast, it's interesting because these bag posts have gone down because now people are starting to think that people are going to call me out. And it's like with the vague posts, like they want to say something, but they don't tag anyone and they don't directly give any examples or call anybody out. Yep. And it's like if you're a promoter, you should pay your wrestlers. Okay, well, like which promoter? Who ripped you off?
Out of the 100 promoters in Ontario.
If I'm not involved with this situation or this story, then like maybe I don't want to work for this promoter. Yeah. I can't know this from your posts, and you're accomplishing nothing. And so, I mean, that's probably why this podcast has been making so many waves, because like everybody wants to talk about it, but they're scared to talk about it. So it's like, I'll talk about it. And then the 18-year-old fat kid comes on here and he's going to talk about it. He's got the biggest balls. 99% of Ontario.
Wheeling them around Ontario right now.
So you did a recent show, Canadian Deathmatch. Is that what it is? Canadian Deathmatch Wrestling?
It's Canadian Deathmatch, yeah.
Okay.
And a big reason I went to Canadian Deathmatch was because I'm actually buddies with a lot of the Deathmatch guys. Like, I'll referee for Mike, I'll ref for other promotions, but I'll dabble in the Deathmatch stuff because when I was a fan originally, I watched a lot of Deathmatch. So seeing it up north now compared to the U.S., like in the U.S. you have Game Changer, you got ICW, No Holds Barred, and they're actually doing it really well. They have a crowd, they're traveling around with it. So when Canadian Deathmatch first came to Hamilton, they were going to do their first show called the Crazy 8 Invitational, and I was contacted actually on the last day of the 2024 CNE to ref the show, and I accepted the booking. And that was in September, so there was around maybe 7 months of waiting for the actual show. So I did their first show, and it was pretty fun. There was a lot of local guys. Green Phantom was on the show, and I refed the show and never got called back, and I never knew the reason why. So for a year straight, there was people going behind people's backs telling me that I had issues with the promoter. I said this about him. And I actually messaged, I'm not going to say who, but I
you got to say, no. Hey,
I actually
you got to say who.
Okay.
You got to say who.
Actually, I was talking with one of the camera guys at Canadian Deathmatch.
Okay.
And basically, I was telling him, I don't actually have issues with you guys. I never said I had issues with you guys. And eventually, me and the camera guy, talked. And basically, he related the message to the guys. And eventually the promoters gave me a message, and I was like, yo, we're all on the same page. We never said anything about each other. I'm like, if I didn't like you, agree or disagree, I wouldn't show up to your show. I wouldn't show up.
It reminds me one time of, I was on a show, I think in Tennessee, and it was, the setup was like this big stage, and the wrestlers were in behind it, but it was really dark, so it was like loose footing and things like that. And I bumped into a guy, and I was like, oh, no, my bad. Like, I just didn't see him, and I bumped into him. And like, I was new here, so I don't know, I guess they didn't know me, but like 10 minutes later, the promoter comes up to me, and he's like, did you rough up one of my guys? And I'm like, what? No. And he's like, he came up to me and he was like, you tried to like shove him, and like, what the fuck? No. But here's the thing. At least he had the conversation, whereas in your case, so how much time passed between when you had the conversation and when you were unbooked?
10 months.
10 months. So you wasted 10 months because you could not have a conversation. And that's what this podcast is. We want to bring these conversations public and fix all this stuff, because I don't know, the state of the industry, at least in this area, specifically in this area, it's like,
this area is terrible. Like, the drama is off the fucking rails.
It's ridiculous. And, it's like, just talk. Just talk as a man and figure it out, But yeah, so you went to Canadian Deathmatch, and okay, I'm not a fan of deathmatch wrestling. I think it's a complete waste of time. I think it flies in the face of any kind of fundamental storytelling or psychology, or like, it's the thing that you like, even the idea that you're going to have a deathmatch show where every show is a death match, because then what happens is you don't have a death match. You have a bunch of people. It's like you have a room with 10 7-feet guys, or you have a room of 10 guys, because everybody's 7 feet tall. It doesn't stand out anymore. But I mean, you went there, and you wanted to come on here and talk about it, so we're going to talk about it. I guess you had a good experience reffing.
For them, yeah, great experience. Mm-hmm. There was so compared to actually a lot of other shows, there was actually catering on the first show.
Whoa, wait.
Catering.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold up. What's the catering?
So, like that jerk chicken?
Whoa,
chicken,
yes.
right? So it was really good catering.
Hey.
I went to one of their no ring shows just to watch. They had the same catering. So fucking shout out to Canadian Deathmatch. They had great catering on their shows.
So if you're a wrestler, you're willing to self-mutilate yourself, you can jerk chicken.
But it's good catering, like compared to other places which don't.
Some catering, it's like bottles of water, coffee.
Oh, they had loads of water too. Loads of water, coffee. Like they came prepared. They made sure everybody was taken care of. Like the show I went to recently, I didn't really have anything negative to say about it. Like it was a decent show. I did tell you before we went on the air, I felt like last year's Crazy 8 was a tad bit better. This one, so the show before the Crazy 8, I think it was either Making a Scene. That was their last show. I think it was November. Or it was a no ring, from what I recall. But heading into the tournament, all the fans were rooting for Tyler Aero because he just came off of an injury that took him out for roughly, 6 months, half a year?
I mean, I don't know specifically. I know he definitely got hurt, and I know he got hurt doing something that was ridiculous. And I think...
and I respect Tyler Aero. I had him booked on a Unified Pro show at one point, back then, when I was first starting. And I respect Tyler Aero. He's always been cool with me, a very nice guy outside of the ring. But I wasn't at that no ring show that happened where he got injured doing a Death Valley off of the stage.
No, but I think that's an interesting point. Is that I think with this show specifically, but just people in general, is like you have to be able to separate the wrestler and the human being, because those are two different things.
Yep.
And with Tyler Aero, I've never hung out with him. I never gotten dinner with him. I've never I've met him. I don't think I've wrestled him. Pretty sure I haven't wrestled him. But with his deathmatch stuff or his hardcore stuff or whatever you want to call it, it's excessive. But you definitely can't take away his toughness, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm gonna pull up a clip here because I think we've got.
So yeah, from this angle, I was up on the balcony hanging out with a few of the local fans I'm actually friends with, Paul and Justin. They're great guys. But from the angle I'm watching them, fuck.
Said this was the first match.
This was the first match on the card. First match.
So I saw this clip and I was like, okay, the crowd was really into it, which sometimes on these deathmatch shows, the crowd can get lost because how many times can you see the guy go through the table or go on the thumbtacks or whatever?
How many times are you going to see the smashy with the lawsuits?
This being the first match makes sense because I haven't seen anything yet. Now, however, and you brought this point up before we went on the air.
Yes, this is my only basically thing to pick on this show about was how say what you want to say.
You start the show with this and you have to then progress it, which is
gotta one up it.
You have to did they do anything with fire or did someone lose a limb or something?
No fire, nobody lost the limb. But this match was good to open up the show. It told a really good story.
What was
in
the
clip
story?
you see,
I didn't see it. So tell me.
The story was they have this team called Total Fucking Chaos. It's Will Carroll, so he was a part of a lot of the deathmatch stuff in the U.S. That Kyle. I guess Brandon St. James is a part of it. He's from 880 Wrestling in Pittsburgh. And the whole angle is they're going to fuck over basically Canadian Deathmatch. But basically Tyler Aero's defending home turf here, going against Brandon St. James. And the story they're telling from this match is basically on that no ring show months ago. I think it was called Malice at the Palace at actually Lee's Palace in Toronto. They did this spot where it was a Death Valley driver off of the stage and onto the concrete floor. There was maybe 2 chairs and a door set up. But Tyler Aero broke his ribs, I believe, and he was out.
I think he punctured his lung.
Punctured it, yeah. I think he punctured his lung. And I actually found out a lot of people gave me a message. They're like, "Oh, you should have came to the show." And I was messaging them back, and I'm like, "Fuck, dude." I'm like, I would have came, but a lot of people on the indie scene know, I don't really have a good relationship with venues and me being underage. Well, the shows are 18+. So I didn't want to go to the show and get a fucking fuck you from the security.
Just get a fake ID and your wrestling career will just go through the roof.
Oh my God, fuck. But
hey, look, nobody will check that nobody will verify the ID. It's a pro wrestling show, so like you'll be fine. Don't worry.
Maybe.
But
that happened, right? And the story they were telling in this match was Aero is gonna win this and advance to the finals. So this wasn't a ordinary 8-bracket tournament. It was winner of the first round goes to the main event, which was a 4-way elimination. So classic Alpha 1 wrestling rules from back in the day. And so Aero won. He advanced to the finals. But the story was he actually gave Brandon St. James the Death Valley off the ladder through like a pane of glass through the door. And it's kind of like they finished the story. Like Aero got his revenge. He didn't injure Brandon St. James. He advanced to the finals. And I'm going to spoil it. He won the tournament at the end of the night, I believe.
Well, yeah. So I was going to say, did he wrestle again later in the show?
Yeah, he wrestled later on in the show. So the thing with this show was they had a cleanup crew, and the cleanup crew took a little bit per match. There was a match,
so
maybe 20-minute wait or 25-minute wait.
Oh, that's awful.
Match. So I was actually telling you before the show, the venue got real hot during the show. I actually had to step outside with a few other people, like 40. Like
40?
It was fucked. I want to say 40 or 35, but I couldn't fucking breathe. Like I was dying.
Ooh, that's not nice.
A lot of the other workers there, part of the cleanup crew, actually took a walk outside with me, and we're fucking like steam was coming off of us. It was a very, very humid venue, and like I've been to the Germania in the past for actual events like Alpha 1 Wrestling right before COVID. I was there, and the venue gets real hot. So if you've never gone to the Germania and you want to go see a show, it's gonna fucking heat up real quick. It's a very, very hot venue. There's no airflow. But I mean, the show went on.
Let's make a note. You were mentioning the storytelling. All the other stuff that happened in the match didn't matter because it was all about that Death Valley driver up the ladder. So however else they mutilated their bodies, it was probably not worth much.
They told the story though with that Death Valley. They finished it. The fans liked the match, and like the crowd was there for it. And you know we could talk about chairs and stuff, but the venue is actually pretty packed. Like I was looking at
wait, you gotta define what is packed because that can have a varying degrees of definitions. What is packed?
I'll define packed. So they had around maybe 90 chairs put out on the floor.
Okay.
They packed those chairs, and then they had people stand around the balcony because I've been to the Germania in the past, and if you're a wrestling fan, you don't want to be standing. Like it's ridiculous, right?
Right.
So they limited the amount of chairs, and they put around 90 on the floor. They filled those chairs. The rest of the fans sat around the balcony, and it was pretty full. Like, I didn't really want to go down to the floor during the show because it was, packed. I wanted to stay up on the balcony just to have a good view.
You may or may not know this, but do you know how many people bought tickets, or if it was, Sometimes the boys fill out the chairs, or the ring crew fills out the chairs because you can put up.
Oh yeah,
the chairs
I've seen that happen plenty of fucking times.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then they're always like, sometimes they're like, okay, can everybody move onto this side because that's where the hard cam is.
I want to say there was 150 tickets sold for a deathmatch show that happened during around the beginning of the year, and if you're like me, right, I actually look at all when the shows run. Like I was saying, I'd rather work the fair shows in the summer, do some production stuff during the rest of the year. But for a promotion coming right out of like Christmas, like it didn't happen around Christmas, but it's like fans don't want to see a show around Christmas because they're buying presents for their family, right? But for a show that ran around the beginning of the year, they actually filled the place pretty well. And before we get into like more fair shows, more summer shows, Canadian Deathmatch did a pretty good job of filling the building.
Good. If the fact
good on them.
The building was full, then that's the fact it gives his recommendation.
And me, I actually came up to you at MLP wanting to be on the podcast. So I was in Windsor for the that
was
Ring of Honor show, right?
I don't remember the name of it, but yeah.
Canadian Wars or something. But I came up to you at MLP and I said, I want to be on the podcast because nobody else will get on the podcast and fucking express what they want to express, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have an opinion on wrestling. There's a standard, and when I fall below that standard, I'm fucking pretty hard on myself, like when I'm refereeing. But when I'm at a show and I'm just watching as a fan, I'm looking at that small thing, right? It filled the place. I was pretty happy with it. We had a bit of confrontation before the show online, like you were saying. It took 11 months for us to have that conversation, but I talked to the promoters. We worked everything out, and it was just like, I shook hands with them at the end of the night, and now we're talking again after a whole year, like 11 months, right?
And there's another promotion that you wanted to talk about. Is it Northern Outlaw Wrestling?
Yes, so Northern Outlaw Wrestling.
NOW.
NOW.
They're in Kitchener, so I think you can see my screen correct. I just pulled it up.
So we have to.
I don't know what's going to come out here, so we're just going to roll with it. But
so I'll make it clear. There's 2 NOWs. There is New Outlaws Wrestling in Quebec. That is a Quebec-owned promotion. I've worked there, I worked there recently in October. They packed the house pretty well for a Quebec promotion. But we're talking about Northern Outlaw Wrestling in Kitchener, Ontario. So make it clear, there's 2 NOWs.
They're not connected, Outlaw. Correct?
They're not connected at all.
They're not connected. Okay. So this is Northern Outlaw Wrestling in Kitchener. And do they use a ring?
So for this show, they had no ring.
They had no ring, which, like, to me is the most, like, bushly independent professional wrestling trope, where it's like you're not even going to get a ring to do professional wrestling, and it's just I don't know, it's just mind-boggling the ideas that people will come up with.
Oh, there's footage.
Is this okay? Wait, I don't. Oh, all right, so let's pull this.
That's the clip that I wanted to show you. There's another clip. I don't know where it went, but these are actually my friends, Warhead and Aiden Rain. Like,
oh yeah,
and he's talk all the time.
He's mutilating his buddy with a guitar. Nope. Oh God.
No, this isn't the thing I wanted to show you. It was another clip. Yeah.
Wait,
you can edit this out.
Yeah, we're gonna watch this, and then is that your buddy Scott Lee?
Yeah, Scott Lee. That's my buddy. You're there, man. Okay. Oh shit.
We're gonna come back to Scott Lee. Oh.
But no.
What clip were you looking for here?
So I didn't want to talk about my buddies Warhead and Aiden, because they're my buddies, right? But,
yeah.
And they booked me for Death Proof. But
you can talk about them if you want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. So there's no ring shows, but Death Proof, they actually do the no ring shows. And when Death Proof runs no ring, they don't run it like how a lot of the other no rings are run. They run it like a kind of like a comedy show, like a comedy wrestling show. Okay. And it's more like they'll work around a gimmick. So do you know Bruce Thunderstein?
Yeah.
So Bruce Thunderstein's whole gimmick is that he's a salesman, and fucking I love Bruce Thunderstein. I met him like when he was just starting in like 2023. So we go way back. But with Death Proof, they work around a gimmick, and like it could be Bruce Thunderstein versus, for an example, Warhead, and it's like Warhead's got to fight Bruce Thunderstein, but since Bruce Thunderstein has money to pay other people to fuck around in his match, it's going to be more of a, Bruce trying to fuck over everybody, and it's like more of a gimmick. With the no ring show I saw recently, it was more of a, and I'm going to quote it from like my good buddy Mike Clark. You're doing a no ring show because you simply cannot afford a ring. How dare the back kid fucking point something out, right?
So it's like instead of
here's my body.
We still want to do wrestling, but we can't afford to actually run, so we'll just cross out the ring because that's not necessary, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, I want to make it another good point. So this show, right? It ran the same day as Canadian Deathmatch out in Hamilton.
Oh, we got a rivalry.
There was 2 shows running not at the same time. I think NOW started later on in the night at 7, but Canadian Deathmatch started around 2, which was a pretty good decision because of the cleanup crew actually taking a long time between those matches. But NOW ran a show, and I was like looking at it, and I got the invite on, like those Facebook events.
Yeah.
So I got the invite from Warhead, and I was like thinking about it because I wasn't booked for a Canadian Deathmatch. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll go to the show and go and watch it. But it's like, we're basically, oh, there's me in that video right there. Fuck.
There you go.
But
this is before you left, right?
Yeah. I have no issue with NOW, but I have a few issues with the people that are booked. Like,
I think it transitions. Is Roy Kirkwood one of the people that has the ear of the promoter?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And Roy Kirkwood, he's a bit of a pariah in the Ontario indie scene, or at least in the circles that he circles in. But he runs a school in Oshawa still, right?
Yeah, he runs New Beginnings in Oshawa.
That's right.
I've told a bunch of people, you know what? I had no issue with Roy, but I heard through a lot of people, Roy was using me for my services back then, like video. And it's like he was talking shit about me behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. So eventually, me and a lot of the Oshawa guys, we decided to split off from New Beginnings. And you know what? A lot of people in the Ontario indie world take the words, right? And they like to transform it into a story that doesn't make sense. So the reason I left New Beginnings, a lot of other people left New Beginnings, is because there was so much shit talk going on in their group chat that they had. I decided to leave. And I said, you know what? This isn't fucking worth my time. And we can actually run a back run in 2023 C&E. And this was the second time Mike ran because he got brought back for the few final days. It was like the Labor Day weekend close.
Yeah, there was that gap. Right.
There was that gap because TNA did something. And now it's like MLP because Scott's doing it. But TNA did something in the middle of the C&E, and then during Labor Day weekend, Mike got the C&E back for 4 days. So for those 4 days, it was myself, Clash Kincaid, and Adrian Astar, Roy Kirkwood, that all chose to, we actually got asked by Mike to come back, and it was the first time reffing for Mike at the C&E. So, because I met you on a fair show, I believe. That was Sterling like a week before. But we all came out, we did the show, and it's like I had a good time. I got to hang out with a lot of my good buddies. Like, I like a lot of the wrestlers I get to referee at CCW because they're all nice people, and most of them can work. Like, they can, put on a good match, wrestle in front of a crowd, get a good pop, compared to a lot of, I want to say, other people on the indie scene that can't put on a good match. And
I think it's like at least in this area, they're not actually taught how to work or how to think about the business. And the thing with CCW is that they're basically always in front of crowds that maybe aren't familiar with wrestling, right? And and then it's like, okay, if they're not familiar with these common independent wrestling tropes, how are you going to get a reaction out of them? And the answer is you have to tell a story. You have to heel in a baby face, and you got to work the crowd. And the degree that you could do that will determine how much of a pop you can get. Because I remember Roy did some of the C&E shows, I think, right? And the crowd would die in his match because he would just
I was putting I actually have footage of some of the matches. I can actually try and find.
We should pull it up.
A bit of it. But I put my head down. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I had to communicate to Clash. And then you have the timekeeper going like, take it home. And it's like, we have to take it home because the guy that was wrestling lost the match because he couldn't tell the story and he wanted to get his shit in. Like, I'd compare, because I reffed a lot of you at the CNE as well, the 2023 and 2024, and it's like, you could tell a story. Pretty Ricky Wilde can tell a story. He's got a fucking great character. He's good on the mic. Bradford Montague can tell a story. Clash Kincaid can tell a story. Fuck it. Ryan Donovan can tell a story. And it's like, a lot of the people, like, specifically Roy Kirkwood, he wouldn't wrestle a lot. It's like you get maybe 4 bookings a year. And in those 4 bookings, he tries to get his shit in those matches. And what's going to happen, Runyon, if you're basically kicking the shit out of somebody don't interact with the crowd. Then go to do your next move. The crowd's not going to have no clue what to do. They're going to be like, oh, do I applaud for this? Do I?
And I think it's something that gets a lot of new workers confused because, they'll be like, oh, okay, I do a power bomb, and the crowd will pop. But they're popping because the move's cool and it looks devastating. But instead of looking at it and understanding that, they're then like, okay, next I'll do a power bomb onto the apron on the outside, or next I'll do a power bomb to try and get a bigger pop. And it's like you're fighting diminishing returns here because you're just having to more and more break down your body to elicit these reactions, whereas I could get a reaction just by turning the ref around and poking the guy in the eye, and that works, you know. So it's again, I think it's like I think Roy Kirkwood came from Super Kicked. Is that correct?
So he came from Super Kicked.
Or he got thrown out of Super Kicked and then kind of did his own thing.
He went to HPW from what I've heard, and then he went AWOL. And
then started.
Well, not AWOL, MIA. And then I met Roy Kirkwood because he was running ACW with Andrew Love and Owen Klein and Gunnar Lang at the time. And that's how I got in, actually. So I got in the business through a teacher at my high school, which knew a few wrestlers. And eventually I started doing ring crew for the ACW promotion. ACW went under, in under a year, man. It was...
that was... Okay, wait. This was another dumb one. Was this Alternative Championship Wrestling?
That's the same one, ACW.
The alternative. We're the alternative. What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know. I was a part of ACW for a little bit, and then eventually I met Clash Kincaid at a show. So he went to a New Frontier show in Oshawa, and that was during when wrestling was coming out of the COVID era. And honestly, kind of wish we stayed in the COVID era because it really fucking shrunk the scene, and only the toughest were lasting at the time, right? If you weren't good, you weren't on the show. Game Changer Wrestling ran an event in Indianapolis, Indiana, at a water state park, and only the best people were on the show, and none of the crappy people were on. Now, I'm not insulting them. It's just they had to work their way up, and there was a standard back then. And
there is something to be said. There's people that get on shows that shouldn't be in a ring, much less on the show, and they're really just on the show because they helped with the ring crew, or they are friends with the promoter or whatever. And it's it's almost like I kind of wish that regulation was still around, specifically in this area, because you should have to pass some kind of aptitude test or post some kind of bond to get a license, because then you would get rid of all these people that really have no business running and doing these things because they're not properly trained and educated.
Yep. And with wrestling, in my opinion, and you won't hear this from people my age, right? But I like my wrestling more technical. I like the way Battle Arts did it back in the day. It was shoot wrestling, trained to be, you know what I'm trying to say? You trained with Yushi, right?
Yeah.
The original Battle Arts. I like my wrestling that type of style. And I feel like these days, if you can do a backflip or do a flip, it's I'm a wrestler. But it's no, if you're going to do flips, I feel like people should learn the authentic way, like Lucha Libre. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, I can do a flip. And it's no, I'm not going to follow you. But and I know a lot of people that have gone down to Mexico to learn the luchador style. And it's I'll respect them. It's they're fucking phenomenal. But Ontario Indie, it's you got New Beginnings out here in Oshawa, and man, I don't even look at it as a promotion in Oshawa. It's not competition. It's just kind of there, you know.
And I don't think they're profitable, correct?
I think they are.
But okay, what's profitable? $250 a show.
You know what's happening? He's getting money from his students to put on the shows. That's what's happening.
Oh, okay.
And that's how those shows happen.
I would count.
There's actually a show running right up the road for me, and it's Roy Kirkwood has run every venue in Oshawa he has burned every single bridge with these venues that he's now going to basically new venues in Oshawa to sell wrestling to. And I know for fact what's going to happen is he's going to burn the bridge with that venue, and then we're down another venue in Oshawa. I'd say right now we're down, I want to say we were down Biltmore Theater, but then Demand Lucha started running shows there recently, and from what I've been seeing, it's amazing. Like, the fucking connection with the Biltmore Theater's back. I don't know about the Pavilion by the lake here in Oshawa, but that's gone. Fucking... I want to say this new venue, that'll be gone pretty soon. Another place is the Curtis Flea Market, the next town over. A lot of people like to run there. And I found a venue in Oshawa. I'm not telling anybody what I found, but I'm kind of saving it right now before anybody ruins that bridge.
I won't prod you because I respect the confidentiality.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Like, so you have this outlaw guy coming in, and he's burning these bridges with all these venues, and that screws over people that want to take it seriously and actually maybe run in Oshawa. And this is the problem.
Yeah.
So because you can't run properly or do professional wrestling properly, you screw over the people that actually are.
Yep.
But
like, I was with New Beginnings at one point, and like I realized people are getting booked elsewhere, and I'm like, why am I not getting booked outside this circle? So eventually I did some digging on the indie board, and I found out why. I'm like, oh, the trainer has heat with everybody. And you know what? New Beginnings from Oshawa can say a different story, that I screwed them over, and it's like, no, you took advantage of me. You wanted my video services. You never paid me. But you said, oh, you can get free in-ring training. But the in-ring training was me and Clash Kincaid getting in-ring and just doing stuff on our own, to a point where, honestly, I left New Beginnings and said, you know what? You're not fucking benefiting me. It's like, I started, doing my own research. What can I do to get better? And I started going to more shows, helping out with the ring. I've started making more connections. And like, one of my big show things last year was I went to Demand Lucha. I actually went to one of their pop-up, those Cinco Fest demand runs? So they ran one by the Harbourfront in Toronto, and it was my first time ever hearing about this. And Clash gives me a message. He's like, "Do you want to come to Lucha?" And it's 9 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, "Bro," I'm like, "the fucking show starts in 5 hours." I'm like, "You know what? I'll go to Lucha." So I met Jordan, I met Fuego, I seen Mike there as well, and I just talked with them for a long time. I talked with Fuego, and eventually I met Jay Nadler, and now that's how I got my in with Demand Lucha for doing video and stuff. So I want to say May 2024 is when I started going into more of the production stuff. So you can see on my feed, right, Ronnie? I'm doing more production than refereeing now, but because I'm keeping busy with Dan Lucha. But it's a good place to be. And when I went to Lucha, I was like, man, I'm like, this is what a real indie show should look like compared to the promotions I was working with. I'm like, I'm gonna try and stay around here as long as possible. And to this day, I'm still working with Lucha. I love going there all the time.
No, and I mean, it's one of the things that stood out to me when I went to Germany. So, but it's true.
Yeah.
If you want to really do stuff in this industry, you have to branch out on your own and travel. And I figured this out when I went to Germany for the first time, because when I got to Germany, I was exposed to a different scene, and over there, they just really have their stuff more in order, and they operate more as legitimate business, more professional.
Tight ship.
Yeah. And it inspired me in a lot of ways to travel more, because one, you learn, but two, it's you can't learn everything from one source. It's like you're writing an essay. You have to
need
have
to branch out
a whole bunch of different sources, and you're going to pull different things from different things. And it seems like in this area, everybody tries to stay clustered in their one area. Nobody,
that's the issue.
And it's like you'll never advance if you're just staying in this one promotion. But we got a post here from Mike Clark from this is on the Ontario Indie Board, talking about, this is Jhon Loco. You know Jhon Loco, right?
Orion. He's from he's trained under Aleister Black, if you don't know that.
Yeah, in Florida. And he's saying that where you train and who you're trained by matters. And there's far too many vets that claim they can train you who only attribute that status themselves to they've been around wrestling for years, not because they've actually done anything or traveled anywhere. So it's, I mean, yeah, like I don't know how much you can learn from one source when they're limited themselves in the options they have in this business. But and so that I commented here and I put D. Carvello's going to take this down because that's just
what actually reacted to a few of your comments. Tim Gagnon actually.
Oh yeah, so that's what this is leading to. So we've got Tim Gagnon here. So so I poked at Christy Carvello, which I like to do. Which I mean, and again, the human side and the wrestling side are two different things. The human side, I don't even know the guy. But Tim Gagnon responds, and it's like, probably not. This is a good share, not an attack, or were you just stirring the pot? If Mike is sharing without being a dick, and no harm. And then so we get into it, and I'm like, heaven forbid bad trainers are called out, which, this is kind of like what the podcast is about.
Yep.
And then Tim, which, by the way, who is this Tim Gagnon guy? Do you know him? Because I don't know him.
He's a wrestler on the Deathmatch wrestling team. That is very frowned upon because of his lazy fucking work ethic.
Well, I mean, I'm getting responses from this guy, and I look at his picture, and he's got a cheese grater in his mouth, and I'm just like, okay,
wrestler,
wrestler. So then he's telling me here that it's only deleted if you're being a dick, but I mean, I don't know. You have to define what being a dick is. If you just don't agree with my post, it doesn't make me a dick.
So bag posting here. Right?
Yes, there you go. So, and then we got one more part here.
You reacted to this comment, so
where'd it go?
This is one I want to talk about as well.
So then he pulls up here that he gives like a polite response, and then I guess he makes a sarcastic comment about how I don't get booked anywhere, which I wanted to address because there's this narrative that I don't get booked anywhere, but I'm on Cash Cab this Thursday. I was on the History Channel. Oh fuck yeah, nice. I was on the History Channel last week, and I was on Netflix 2 months ago. So I don't really understand what this I don't get booked anywhere thing is all about. But anyways, good luck to the cheese grater guy. I don't know. Do you have anything else to comment on that?
The Tim Gagnon thing?
No, or anything. We talked a bit about the scene. We talked a bit about trainers. We talked a bit about a number of things.
So another thing we were talking about before the podcast was I'm not a mark. We get into wrestling because we like it, right? But when WrestleMania comes around, we get a bunch of posts on the online subreddits and everything that wrestling events, like indie wrestling shows, are going to run on the same weekend as Mania. And this year, so happened to land in Vegas again. So a lot of people I know went down to Vegas. I actually got the invite to go to Vegas, but I decided not to go because fucking, the job economy these days, fucking, I can't afford shit. A lot of the production stuff I was actually able to afford through wrestling, and that's why I'm doing the services now. But I sent you a list, and it was a list Mike Clark actually posted, but it was a list of every single indie event that ran this past week in Vegas. We're recording this on the Sunday, so basically a lot of these shows are coming to a close right now, and Monday Night Raw will be the final show for Vegas. It's very low quality because there's so many promotions on it, but I have my copy open as well.
But I mean, it's I think it's a little bit fuzzy, but I don't know. Maybe I'll post in the comments or something so people can see it. But I mean, I've been down to WrestleMania weekend. I went to Mania in New Orleans. I went to Mania in New York, and I wrestled that weekend. I went to another Mania. I don't know. Those two at least. I think of another one. But I went to Los Angeles. I went to Mania in Los Angeles. And
that's 2024, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. And the point is, you're only going to advance as much as your network lets you. And so here's this list. And of course, Mike Clark posts this list and gets ragged on for it, which is puzzling. But
Mike Clark shares something good on the Ontario.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody and their fragile egos got fucking offended, and I laughed at everybody's comment.
Maybe it's almost like they should come on this podcast and talk about it.
And maybe talk about it, right?
Or they can just decline the invite. That's fine too.
But I want to say, like, when I talk about this, I don't have an ego. I'm very blunt about things. I'll tell you to your face rather than bag post online what I think about you. But that's what I did recently.
Well, yeah. But, it's like they'll make the vague posts online, but then when you see them in person, they do nothing. And it's kind of like when Mike Clark ran into Matt Grant. And Matt Grant did nothing. In fact, they took a big picture, and now they're friends, and he's working for him. So
that was phenomenal. That was honestly one of the best moments on the indie board I've seen yet.
But we'll go through this list. You're seeing it on your end, right? Yeah. Okay. It's probably
I got my own copy of it up.
Look at it. Whatever. The Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. I've wrestled for them. They're in Florida, right?
Yep.
And then
we've got Pottermania.
Who are they? I don't know who they are.
So I think it's just a one-time occurrence, but it was an all-women show, and that actually kicked off the Game Changer Wrestling Collective at Horseshoe in Las Vegas. Right. And a lot of these promotions, so you can see right here.
You can see where they
SHP Wrestling and Up. These are all the shows that happened on, I believe, either Wednesday or Thursday. And if you don't know me, when you get to know me on the indie scene, I basically express that I love IWTV. I watch a lot of wrestling on it, and I'll put them over. Wrestling Open in Worcester, Massachusetts. They put on a good product. But a lot of these promotions were actually set to live stream on IWTV. And basically, I want to say maybe 2 days before any of these shows happened, a lot of the promoters actually posted that due to these streaming incompatibilities with the venue, they're not going to be able to live stream any of these shows from Vegas. So I was actually looking forward to watching Sean Henderson Presents. That was going to be at the Nerd. You were saying you've been to the Nerd before.
I've wrestled there, yeah.
Micromania Midget Wrestling. So that's not a part of IWTV, but that's basically, I want to say they both rented the ring from some guy, and there's going to be shows there in that block, right? But what else happened? CCW. That's
CCW. They're one of my favorite American promotions because they're
good. I like them.
They are not connected. It's Coastal Championship Wrestling in Florida. I've wrestled for them.
But they have, I believe they have their own streaming gear, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
I've seen their.
I recall that.
So I'm gonna go back and hopefully watch that show. That happened at Sin Bodie's FSW Full Tilt 4, I believe. So Sin Bodie brings a lot of promotions to his academy. Yep. It's good for a lot of the newer talent, and I'm gonna touch base on a lot of the talent. But a lot of people from people we know went to Vegas for Mania, and they ended up hanging around these. Not many, but a lot of the good ones you'll see, like on a lot of the shows here. Like I want to say Johnny DeLuca, Von Vertigo was down there, and fuck it, because a lot of people want to trash talk this guy, right? Ryan Donovan went down there, and he had his flight figured out, and he went down to Vegas, and he went out there kind of like me, how I went to Lucha, right? He networked with a bunch of the people, and he actually ended up getting booked on like 2 of the shows down there, and that's good for him because now some of the Vegas scene knows about Ryan Donovan, the full Donovan, and that could open up, possibilities for him to get booked down there in the future.
It's a lot of eyeballs you get in front of when you go down for WrestleMania weekend. But Progress is there.
Progress? Where is that? Was that
it's down the Horseshoe?
Horseshoe.
CMLL. That's the CMLL, right? Mexico.
That is CMLL, yeah. And then there's another one I wanted to touch on. Right below CMML, it was St. Louis Anarchy.
Oh, right.
From the Bizarre Bar.
Before we went on.
So I'm a part of Deathmatch Elite and United Deathmatch on Facebook. It's a group where a bunch of indie wrestling fans basically run their mouth online and get into fights. So I'm part of the group, and I basically just hang around in the group. And this article got shared to, I think, Deathmatch Elite, And it says St. Louis Anarchy ownership not pleased with Las Vegas event attendance. So I was telling you before we actually started the podcast, I got the notification that St. Louis Anarchy was about to go live on IWTV. There's the comment right there. And so I was going out for dinner with my family, and I clicked on the live stream, and so basically I'm anal when it comes to this live stream stuff. I like to make sure it's fucking perfect. If it's not good, I click off. I go to another thing, right? But they went live. They had the IWTV commercials playing. I don't think they had the watermark intro, but when they went live, I noticed their cameras kept cutting out, and it's like, fuck, man. If I'm watching WrestleMania and a camera cuts and it's like lower latency, I'm clicking off. I'm going to another site.
I agree.
But I seen the setup. The setup looks pretty good. It's something similar I've worked with recently, actually, at another promotion here in Ontario. But they had 2 ringside cams, a hard cam, and so it's a little setting. I'm going to talk about a bit of technical stuff, but we have a deck we use called the A10 Mini Pro, and if they were using this fucking board or OBS, they didn't have the follow audio thing turned off. So basically, every time they cut a camera, it would cut to that camera's audio, and the stream was monstrous, and I couldn't watch it for like less than 5 minutes. So it was actually St. Louis Anarchy and West Coast Pro that talked about having issues with the streaming that weekend. So from what I've seen online, we're gonna hope we're gonna see like a post edit of the show thrown up on IWTV in like 2 weeks. But that's one of the issues. A lot of these promotions have their own designated streaming people, right? And they couldn't go to Vegas. So I was telling Runyon what I'm thinking for future WrestleMania is I might try and obtain like a work visa, go down to Vegas, and maybe offer some live streaming services with some of the cameras I use around Ontario, and maybe get a bit of coin off doing that. Because in wrestling, like, you can find a way to be, used, right? Like, I'm a referee, a production guy, and I dabble in a few other things, but you got to be reliable. But it was St. Louis Anarchy that caught my attention, where the owner wasn't pleased with the turnout from these shows. So a few fans here are talking on the subreddit Squared Circle, and basically the fans are like stating facts, saying like, well, you're running against like, that whole list. There's maybe 50 shows on that whole list, and it's like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I think the real thumbs up is the promoter actually pulled through and ran a show in Vegas. Like, that's something to be proud of, right? But it's like, was it advertised correctly? And I feel like they're promoting it on their Instagram page. The St. Louis Anarchy fans are only going to be informed. Only the St. Louis fans are going to be informed about the event happening in Vegas. But for actual other fans walking around at WrestleCon, how are they going to know that this event is happening in Vegas if they didn't look at that list that Mike Clark posted? And the same goes for a lot of other promotions too. What do you got to say about it?
I mean, I'm not. I don't know anything about this.
Shit.
I only know the collective, and this is the first time hearing about St. Louis Anarchy. But it's like, I mean, I don't like he. What's his not pleased with Las Vegas attendance? But like,
PW.
I mean, that's on you. But like, I think a 3-hour show I think is too long. This is my opinion.
A 3-hour show is a bit too long. The show I did recently in Oshawa, it was for and shout out Oshawa Wrestling. They did a show recently in Oshawa, and it was 2 hours, like perfect. Exact, and it was perfect. And the fans went home happy. The place was, and I'm going to define packed as every chair in the venue was filled, and it was standing room only.
So we'll go back to the list. I think we'll just break down the rest of these.
I'll pull it back up.
Whatever's going on here.
So we were at St. Louis Anarchy.
We talked a bit about St. Louis Anarchy. And then we got FSW, that's Sid Bodie's. They were there.
An ID wrestling show for the ID
wrestling show, yeah. I mean,
we were talking about that a bit. It looks pretty good.
This, right?
Yeah. I think how these ID shows work is that any indie wrestling promotion could run it. The show name just has to be called the ID Showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've seen a lot of people I knew on there. I'm not sure if our boy It's Gall was on there, but I did see a lot of the newer.
It's Gall.
It's Gall.
I think he was. I saw his, I saw his Instagram.
Nice. But one of the newer ID talents, Jeriel Rivera, was on there. He's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of the New England Academy, and the kid's phenomenal. He's like he's my age, but he's fucking jacked. And if you look at me, I'm nowhere fucking near jacked. I'm a bag of milk, as some people would call me. But the show looked phenomenal. Like, again, they packed the house, like standing room only, and for a show running against all these other shows on the list, like, phenomenal, great work. But I'm gonna try and find some.
There was also Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, but I think he retired it. He's not gonna do them anymore. Did you hear about that?
I did see an article about that. I was pretty confused because, like, Bloodsport was one of the most, like, high-selling events of the weekend. Yeah. A lot of people like to go and watch Bloodsport, and sad to see him retire it, but he retired it right at that 10th show mark, so he had, like, 10 Bloodsports, and it's
almost like wrestling is meant to be realistic, and the fans like that.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then we got Joey Janela's Spring Break. I mean, there's lots to talk about there. I think we've got we've got a clip. I'm gonna put
up. Let's see.
We have I think this relates to
one of our guys,
one of our native Ontario wrestlers.
Here it is.
Here we go.
Who is that, Runyon? Who is it?
Oh, that's Ryan Donovan.
It's Ryan Donovan. He did the work, and he got on the show. And you see what type of ref shirt he's wearing there? That's last championship wrestling.
He's got a kicking the chair from Bill Fonzy.
From Bill Fonzy.
I like the laugh track you got going here.
I was dying. I almost passed out. Here. Oh.
That was Sandman's last match against the Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man.
And look at there's a lot of people there, and I mean that show usually does well, but it nevertheless.
Every time I've seen a Joey Janela Spring Break, it's always the highest capacity crowd show of each collective. Like, last year they did Joey Janela Spring Break. I didn't watch the whole show. I just watched I think it was the Clusterfuck Forever, which is their, it's like a 2-hour-long rumble. Anything could happen. And I want to say the crowd this year for the Janela Spring Break, like, this wasn't a normal venue. This was like a ballroom, like a huge ballroom. And they managed to really fill the place. And the year before, you can see on the list, Maple Leaf Pro, they ran the Pearl, the Palms. That's where they were last year. And I want to say they may have had a bigger crowd this year for Janela Spring Break. And the main event was advertised as Brody Lee Jr. versus Joey Janela.
That's right. Yeah.
And fuck, what a reaction from the fans for that one. It was pretty cool. I watched it the whole way through.
What did Maple Leaf Pro as their main?
As their main, I didn't. I actually couldn't watch MLP because it wasn't Triller Plus, but they were selling it as a package on Triller. So it was like $82 for like 4 shows, and I just couldn't pay that, so I just stuck to the Triller Plus.
And then there was Juggalo Championship Wrestling. That one's got a little bit of notoriety. Didn't something happen? I don't know. I was reading the news, but something happened at the show.
Something at the show, or was it?
Or after the show?
No, I didn't hear anything about that.
Okay,
I'll look into it though.
I don't know, but I mean, they were there. What else we got going on here? Killer Cross did a show. He's like from that area, so I could see him doing some decent shows in there. But that's the list. And
we're
the
closing
recap.
out on the collective right now. Like, what are we at? Yeah, we're at WrestleMania 42, so there's only 2 more events left, and it's a wrap for Vegas this year.
That's right. Yeah, because it's Sunday's the last day, and I remember the Sunday's always kind of dead. I think it's like Wednesday to Friday.
They want to go home.
Wednesday to Friday, yeah, and then Saturday a little bit, but everybody's kind of, if they're there for Mania, they just want to go to Mania, and then Sunday's like, they just want to go to Mania and go home.
And then as soon as Mania is over, it's maybe some fans will stick around for like the Raw after Mania, but that's it.
But even like it's not like they're going to sell 50,000 to Raw. Like they'll do like 10 at the local arena. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, even a lot of people fly home on the Monday, right?
Yeah. I thought it was, I want to say this year's, like I was paying more attention to the, this year's like collective and events. And, I want to say everything went pretty well. Like it looks like Donovan got a spot on the, it was Joey Janela's Spring Break. Matt Grant was on Joey Janela's Spring Break as well. I don't know if you've seen that. He did a run in.
Mike Clark hooked him up, right?
Mike Clark hooked him up. Jamie Franchuk, one of the ring announcers from around here, he was on that.
Mm-hmm.
One of our guys, Bradford Montague, was on there. You seen him with the with his fucking beautiful mullet. He got
Pretty Ricky must have been around, right? He was there.
Yeah, he was there as well. The Invisible Man fucking gave him a flatliner, I think. It was fucking devastating. But no, everything went well. I actually watched the Immortal Clusterfuck last night from Joey Janela's thing. So it's like basically, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's basically part 2 of Joey Janela's Spring Break.
Yeah.
So they'll do the big super show, and then the Immortal Clusterfuck is like a rumble. It's like a 2-hour rumble.
Yeah.
There could be maybe unlimited entries. So
I think the one year they had a bunch of penises in it or something, or maybe.
Yeah, a bunch of penises. This year they had a bunch of blow up. Those like Halloween costumes. They're like raptors, like dinosaurs. They had a whole army of them come to the ring this year,
Jesus.
and it looked pretty good. And yeah, that drew pretty well. People were leaving though. It was like 4 a.m. in the morning. I was watching that, and then I think it was 2 a.m. or like in Vegas or 1 a.m. But the show went on pretty long, and then Dr. Redacted, Deathmatch guy. No, he didn't win. It was Shotzi Blackheart won the Immortal Clusterfuck. I think she stayed in the match for an hour and 25 minutes. It was brutal. I wasn't counting, but fucking props to her. But yeah, the Clusterfuck did well, and then that was kind of wraps for the collective. That was it for them. So they're probably packing up still right now, and they're on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
But Mania is it happening right now, or is it?
It's getting close to. If it hasn't started already, we're recording on Sunday, and that's I've crossed everything off my list here.
Amazing.
Do you have anything else you wanted to cover?
I wanted to cover. Oh, my SD card fucking ran out. But perfect timing. But basically, this is it for Mania. And then I've heard rumors WrestleMania might switch locations next year. It might go to New Orleans.
I got from I heard it's probably switching.
Good.
Yeah.
Because from what I know, nobody's going to fucking Saudi Arabia. We're not going to see a whole list of promotions in Saudi Arabia.
No. And maybe Saudi can do their own collective. I don't know.
The collective Saudi Arabia fucking put a bunch of the promotions up there on. But other than that, WrestleMania might switch to New Orleans from what I've heard. I've read a few things about that. I hope it switches. Cleveland? Okay.
Which would be better. It'd be closer, eh?
Yeah. Because I'll probably go down to Mania next year and just hang around with my streaming equipment if that's the case. But other than that, if it's still Saudi Arabia, we're going to shout it out. The Joey Janela Boat Bash. And there are some speculations. Fat Kid might be on the boat. I might be making my way down there for it. But that will basically be Mania weekend if WrestleMania is still going to be in Saudi Arabia. Because I know nobody that's going there. I'm not fucking going there at all.
No, nobody's going.
The price of over.
Yeah. Nobody. I don't know. Yeah, they're not going. It's crazy.
But the boat bash that's going to happen. They're leaving from the port of LA, I believe. It's going to go on maybe a week, like 4 stops. It's going to be wrestling off of the boat on the port. And then it'll probably be a bunch of GCW talent, like Game Changer. It could be a lot of local guys as well, but from what I've heard, who knows? Fat Kid might make an appearance. But that's what's going on in my world right now. But that's pretty much it. I think this episode is fucking amazing. And
there we go.
I'm going to encourage some people. Maybe people can grow a set of balls and maybe get on the podcast and talk about the drama on the Ontario Indie Board. Because you see, we only briefly touched the drama on the Indie Board. We're talking about other shit that's positive about pro wrestling, not just bullshit in Ontario.
There you go.
And I respect a lot of people in Ontario, but honestly, don't send me a message when this episode is posted and bitch and complain about how I was on a podcast with James Runyon, because I go back with Runyon, all right?
I just got all the heat. I can't help it.
It's ridiculous. But that's about it. I think the podcast is fucking great. We touched on some good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey,
stuff.
Dave, we just want to talk about wrestling and get to the bottom of these controversies. That's all we do.
That's it.
So we're going to wrap it up.
I'm
Mr. Marvelous, and this is the Fat Kid. And we're going to bring it back, I think. Maybe? Yes?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's fucking do it. Let's do it.
And
we'll get some other Oshawa guys on here with us.
We'll catch, line them up. Let's get them.
Ryan Donovan, get on the podcast.
If Donovan wants to get to the bottom of a controversy, we're gonna talk about it. And we will catch you next week.
Yeah, amazing.